We continue now at the top of Daf Dalet of Mesechet Shekalim. This is Shekalim Daf 4b. The Gemara here continues, Ume'aleyen hein boyin. The point is that the Gemara said before, according to both Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish, there are problems when non-Jews donate to Bedek Habayis. So what do we do about these instances where it seems that we are accepting donations for Bedek Habayis for the fixing of the Beis HaMikdash from the Nachrim? The answer is, if they're donating for a different purpose, and then Memela Me'alehen, those donations happen to be used for Bedek Habayis, that's not going to be a problem. That's Me'alehen hein boyin leBedek Habayis or leKlishores. It just happens automatically that these donations are being used for Bedek Habayis. That's not the original intention when the Nachrim are donating this amount of money. The Gemara now asks, Ma Ovid Lo Rabbi Shimon Lakish. Where does Rabbi Shimon Lakish learn out his halacha? Rabbi Shimon Lakish says there are no exceptions. There's no circumstances. It doesn't matter if it's a davar mesuyim, davar she'enu mesuyim. It doesn't matter if it's at the beginning of the building of the Beis HaMikdash or after the Beis HaMikdash was already built. It makes no difference. We don't accept any donations to Bedek Habayis from the Nachrim. The Gemara says, where does Reish Lakish know this from? Pasar lo. He learns it from the following pasuk: Lo lachem v'lanu livnos bayis lelokeinu. It's not for you and for us to build the Beis HaMikdash. In other words, it has to be made only from Klal Yisrael, not from the Nachrim. Rabbi Chizkiya Amar Rabbi Simon Shol Mayata. Rabbi Chizkiya, in the name of Rabbi Simon, now asked the following question. It's not really a question. He's asking rhetorically, the following statement should be true. Ein mekavlin mehen la'amas hamayim u'lechomos ha'ir u'migdaloseh. According to this logic, we shouldn't accept from the Nachrim any money for donations for Amas Hamayim, for waterways, for walls, for towers, anything built in the area of Yerushalayim. Al Shem, because the pasuk says, V'lachem en chelik v'gomer, similar. There's a similar pasuk that says, you don't have a portion in this building of Yerushalayim as well. So the same logic that applies when it comes to the building of the Beis HaMikdash applies here as well. Now the Gra here has a slightly different girsa. The girsa Sagra coming up is as follows: Mai taimod Rabbi Meir, Savar Rabbi Meir Hashokel Shiklo. The Gemara is asking, what's the reason of Rabbi Meir? Rabbi Meir held that even in a situation where a person gives a shekel on his behalf and on behalf of his friend, he needs to bring two kalbonos. He needs to add two small amounts to that machas hashekel. The Chachamim said you only need to add one. So what's the reason of Rabbi Meir? The answer is, Kasavar Rabbi Meir holds, Kishem Shashiklo Torah Kach Kalbono Torah. Just like these people, these individuals are obligated to give the machas hashekel midoraisa, so too the obligation to give kalbon is an obligation midoraisa. Kasavar Rabbi Meir, therefore Rabbi Meir holds, benosein shiklo sholem shuchayev bekalbon. Even when a person gives a full shekel, you're still chayev to give the kalbon. Da'amar Rabbi Meir, because Rabbi Meir says, kimin matbeya shal eish hotzi HaKadosh Baruch Hu mitachas kisei kevodo. HaKadosh Baruch Hu took out a coin of fire from underneath the kisei hakavod. Ve'areu l'Moshe, and he showed it to Moshe Rabbeinu. V'amar lo, and he said to him, Zeh yitnu, kazeh yitnu. You have to give it like this, exactly like this. In other words, the point is, some opinions hold kalbon is not a doraisa. The kalbon simply is that we're afraid if you didn't give the proper amount. So in that case, you have to give a little extra. Maybe your machatzis hashekel was missing something. Maybe there was something missing in what you gave, or let's say the change that you're receiving. Maybe there's something that is missing. But Rabbi Meir doesn't hold like that. Rabbi Meir holds that the din of kalbon is a doraisa, because the Torah says, Kazeh yitnu, it has to be exactly like this, and therefore we never know whether our machatzis hashekel is exactly like the one that was shown to Moshe Rabbeinu, so the chiyuv is doraisa. That's why in a case, again, where you give a shekel on behalf of yourself and on behalf of your friend, you have to give two kalbons, you have to give a kalbon for each. And the Gemara continues at the two dots, Nosan sela litol shekel. Let's say a person goes to the Beis HaMikdash and he gives a sell and he takes back a change of a machatzis hashekel. In other words, he gives a full shekel of the Beis HaMikdash and he takes back change a half. So chayiv shnei kolbonos. So it says that he's chayiv two kolbonos. So the Gemara says, Amar Rebbe Lazar says to Rabbi Meiri, this opinion that you're chayiv two kolbonos is going to be the position of Rabbi Meir. The Tanya, as we learned in a brisa, elu chayovin bekalbon. In the following cases, you're chayiv in kalbon. Kalbon echad, Rabbi Meir Amar beis kolbonos. Rabbi Meir says you're chayav two kolbonos. And the Gra over here is a slightly different girsa which adds explanation. It says Hachi Garsin Amar Rebbe Lazar to Rabbi Meiri echad shekel shunosein. In this case, again, you're giving a sella and you're getting back change of machatzis hashekel. We're afraid the change might not be 100% accurate. You need to give a kalbon for that. V'echad l'divrei Torah. Plus, there's a din doraisa, as we just said before. There's a general din doraisa. You always have to give a kalbon. So that's what according to this, that's what Rabbi Meir's position over here is, why you need two kalbonos in this case. The Rav Amar Divrei Akoli. Now Rav disagrees and he says, no, the Mishnah in this case is according to everybody. Everybody would agree that you need to give 2 kalbonos. If you give a seller to the Beis HaMikdash and they give you change, everyone agrees you need to get 2 kalbonos. Echad shekel shuhu nosen, because one, the shekel that he's giving, the echad shekel shuhu notel, you have to give another kalbon for the change. In other words, when you're giving a seller and receiving change of a machatzis shekel, you have to give a kalbon for both directions. For what you gave them, maybe it was missing a little, and for what they gave you back as change, maybe that was missing a little. So according to that position, it's not necessarily Rabbi Meir. That's what the Gemara over here says. Omar Rav Divrei Akoli. Rav says, no, the Mishnah follows everybody. The Gemara continues, this affects Rabbi Meir as well, according to Rav. Diyomer Rabbi Meir, because if the Mishnah would be following Rabbi Meir, echad shekel shuhu nosein, v'echad shekel shuhu notel, v'echad l'divrei Torah. According to Rabbi Meir, in this case, you'd actually need to give 3 kalbonos. You're going to have to give 1 again for the shekel you're giving, 1 for the shekel you're taking back, and 1 for the doraisa. You always need to give a kalbon. Al daite de Rav gimel kalbonos inon. According to Rav, again, according to Rabbi Meir, within Rav, it's going to be 3 kolbonos. Also, Rabbi Yirmiyah, Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak b'shem Rav. Rav Yirmiyah came in the name of Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak in the name of Rav. Shlosha kolbonos inon. Again, according to Rav, there are 3 kolbonos. Echad shekel shu nosein, v'echad shekel shu notel, v'echad l'dvar Torah. There's going to be 3 because you have, again, the shekel that you're giving, the shekel that you're taking back, and also midorais in general, you need to give a kalbon. And the Gemara continues at the Tudat, Ha'achin v'ashutvin shechayovin bekalbon u'peturin mimaiser behema. The Mishnah had said you have a case of brothers who are like partners, that they're chayiv in the kalbon, and they're pater from maiser behema. We explained this in the Mishnah, and here the Gemara explains. B'shecholku v'chazru v'nishtatfu. The case over here where they're pater from maiser behema, and they're chayiv in kalbon, that's if they divided up the property that they inherited from their father, and then they actually became partners. So they have the halacha of regular shutfin, the halacha of regular partners. Regular partners are chayiv and kalbon when it comes to machatzis shekel, and they're also partners are pater from meiser behema. That's a general halacha. And then it said shechayovin b'meiser behema uptura min kalbon. It said you can have the opposite case where they're chayiv in meiser behema and they're pater from kalbon. And that is b'shalo chilku. That's when they never divided. In a situation where they didn't divide up the property, so then really it's like the property really belongs to their father, and they're just taking care, so to speak, of the property. They are owning the property of their father. In that case, so we say they're actually pater from kalbon because the machatzis shekel is being given from the father's property on their behalf. And in that case, again, they're going to be chayiv in meiser behema because they're not considered like partners. Amar Rebbe Lazar says, "V'hein shechalku gediyim keneged tiyashim u'tiyashim keneged gediyim." This is only true if they divide up, when they initially divide up the property, they divide up the property so you get the gediyim and I get the tiyashim, or you get the tiyashim and I get the gediyim, different species of animals, different minim of animals. Aval mecholko gediyim keneged gediyim, u'tiyashim keneged tiyashim. But let's say they divide up gediyim, some gediyim go to one brother and some gediyim go to the other brother, etc. They divide up along those lines. So hu chelko mishah rishona. So in that situation, we do not consider them to be partnerships. That is considered through breira. That's as if that's the original division of the property. That's how they inherited the property. And the Gemara's point is, in such a situation, they're not considered to be lekuchos, one from the other. In such a situation, that's considered to be the normal Yerusha. And if they would decide to become partners again, they won't be considered partners. That would be the original Yerusha. It would be like the father's property that they've originally inherited. That would not be considered a situation of partnership. It's only considered a situation of partnership if they divide the property in such a way that they're considered to be purchasing from one another. They're considered to be lekuchos. Then in such a situation, if they rejoin together, they're considered partners. So again, according to this position of Rebbe Lazar, what's really happening is if they divide gediyim keneged gediyim, tiyashim keneged tiyashim, we say yesh breira, that's a normal inheritance. Amar Rabbi Yochanan says, no, afilu chalko gediyim keneged gediyim, utiyashim neged tiyashim. No, even in a situation where they divide up gediyim and tiyashim, in other words, one brother takes half the gediyim, the other takes the other half, one brother takes half the tiyashim, the other takes the other half. Kilekucho, saying at that moment they become like they're purchasing one from the other. Upeturim in a meiser, and at that moment they're going to be pater from meiser again. If they would decide to join together, they would be like shutfin, and they would be pater from meiser in such a situation. Ke'ahud taninan, as we learned, ke'ahud taninan tamon, as we learned over there, halakuach v'shanitan lo b'matana, something which is purchased when they're considered like lakuchos, or someone receives something as a matana. Pater mi meiser behema. In those situations, there is a p'tur from meiser behema. Rabbi Chia Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah. Now Rabbi Chia says in the name of Rabbi Yirmiyah, boy, he asks the following question: V'lama leslan amrin. Why don't we say the following? Po'amim shein chayavin bazeh bazeh. Why don't we have a situation? We could have a situation where they're chayiv in both the kalbon and meiser behema. In other words, the way it's been set up is if they're chayiv in the kalbon, they're potter from meiser behema. If they're potter from the kalbon, they're chayiv meiser behema. He is asking, no, you can have a situation perhaps where they're chayiv in both. And we'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Hey Amud Aleph.